We think if we accumulate enough things, then we won't have to worry.
Yeah,
In actual fact, the more we accumulate, the more we have, literally, to worry about. And you give this perfect illustration. One of the things that many years ago when I wrote the first version, it was the late 80s, and I'm writing Money, Possessions, and Eternity. Between the time I wrote that book and that book came out, I started doing the civil disobedience and abortion claims, and by the time the book had been out just 6 months, I was now making minimum wage. Okay, so I talked about ownership in the book, and one of the things that happened was I could no longer legally own anything. Now I was fine. I was still a middle class, even if it was a little bit, let's say, lower middle class, American at that point, but I still had all the stuff available to me, and we had transferred the house over to my wife's name, so she said, be nice to me. I said, well, hopefully I would have been nice to you anyway. But yeah, but the idea was to no longer legally own anything, even though I had access to it. So I was not at all in poverty. So, but what I'm saying is the mental thing of I've talked all about God owning everything, and now I actually can't write a check. I can't go to the bank teller. I can't go to the money machine and put in a card and get money out of it. I can't do that. And I thought, wow, this is like making this more real for me, the concept that God owns it all. But one of the things that happened back around that time when I was writing Money, Possessions, and Eternity was, okay, so some of you did remember something I alluded to, but so does the word ghetto blaster mean anything to you? Yeah. So the big old units, that were cassette, tapes when they first came out, man, those were cool. And so I had one of those. It was great. So the youth group, and this is back when if you can imagine, the youth group was asking to borrow a couple of these that they were going to use in different ways. Okay, so I loan them this thing, and it comes back, and of course, anytime you loan anything to a youth group, what condition is going to come back. I mean, it is dented, it's banged up, and all this kind of stuff. My first thought was, wow, this is mine. They didn't take good care of it. And then I went, wait a minute. God, this is yours. It belonged to you, and I used it. I shared it. I entrusted it to the good of the youth group. Regardless of what condition it came back in, it belongs to you, and it was being used in a good way for a good purpose. Why am I worried that it's banged up? Why am I even concerned about it? Now you could say, well, hey, if it belongs to God, you should be more concerned about the condition that it's in. But God is not, I used the illustration the other night too of the guy that called me, a high school kid, said, I'm the one that dented your car, and I went out, I said, okay, there's like 23 dents in it, and which one is yours, and I don't know, and I don't care. And he's going, really, man, it was a serious dent? And I said, well, there's a number of serious dents on this car. But what happened when I got a better car, now I notice the dents, and now the dents matter. But they didn't matter when it's like we think that we'll be relieved by having more, and in fact we tend to get entangled in it. But when we see God's ownership, then why would I worry about this thing that belongs to God? My whole life belongs to God. I am not my own. I've been bought with a price. Therefore glorify God with your body. Even my body doesn't belong to me. Wow. My body belongs to God.